Welcome. I'm Master Lama Rasaji, and this is our Thursday edition of Rasaji Speaks. Today is our PFL, and normally I would have a PFL background, but I could not do today's broadcast without honoring our Divine Mother and her dedication to the day of her Assumption and her ascension into heaven, which is what the Catholic Church celebrates today. So that's why we have the Queen of Heaven in the background below me. Though that being said, before we get started with today's lesson, just remember that we do have our PFL broadcast today with Sister Lynette, and our special guest today is going to be the top affiliate in COC from last month, so that you have an idea to see what she's doing, what she's overcome to be the top affiliate with us. So I think you'll be real excited, so make sure you do that. Let's look at today's lesson. Leap of faith, embracing risk for abundance versus financial freedom. Well, I don't know of any more leap of faith than Mother Mary being approached by Archangel Gabriel. Can you imagine never been touched by a man and saying that you have conceived a child by the Holy Spirit? Imagine the leap of faith that had to take, right? And all kind of things going on. I mean, if a woman, she had already been promised to Joseph, and yet they had not been together physically. They had announced their dating, going steady, as we say, the pledge to marry, but yet they had not been together. She had not been with anyone. And in those days, a young Hebrew woman that was pregnant out of wedlock, well, to some people in very conservative countries, that's still a big deal. 2,000 years ago, you can't even imagine how big of a deal that would have been. They would have thought not twice, stoning her to death. There's issues today where people fight over the right to live, the rights versus a woman's human body. I remember years ago seeing a bumper sticker that said, "Thank God that Mary chose the right to life." Can you imagine that if she would have chosen to abort her child, how that would have been? That Jesus was not going to come into the world? Think about that. That might tell you how ludicrous that whole concept is. The leap of faith that this woman had was enormous. But there's another leap of faith I want to talk about today, instead of just Ave Maria. And that is, I learned a long time ago that we were not only sold the goods from the dark side, that death was inevitable, and that we basically had to surrender to that whether we like it or not, because you look around and you see people dying in your family and your friends all the time. But I remember what Babaji, the Simple Father, told me in India when I asked him that question. He said, "Yes, little Lama, that's true. People are dying every day. But all that does is prove to you how death works. It does not prove to you how life works." And as we shift into a more abundant vibration, you look around in nature and there's more signs of immortality and abundance than there's not. Have you ever wondered why a fruit tree can be 100, 200 years old? How many times and how many seasons has that fruit tree reproduced the apples, the oranges, and the grapes? You ever ask yourself, is that a mortality vibration or is that an immortality? You're relatively healthy, you cut your skin, what happens? Well, it regenerates. I'm seeing the scar of my hip now that my surgery is less than 70 days old, and it's disappearing before my eyes. And, according to Social Security, I'm supposed to be 68 years old. What was the regeneration of Uncle Enoch when he fathered in his late 60s the oldest mortal in the Bible, Methuselah, who was the grandfather of Noah that built the great ark? And by the way, the grandson Noah lived to 400 years himself. Ask yourself, if Noah lived to 400, Methuselah 969, and at 365, because he was a preacher of righteousness, Enoch was assumed into heaven, just like our mother was here. They went to lay Mary's body down on the tomb. They prepared her, didn't realize that really she wasn't dead. She was only in deep meditation. Laid her down, began to fetch incredible garments. They had already redressed her, began to put frankincense and myrrh on them that they still had left over from the Magi bringing to her son Jesus. They went back to prepare and come back, and she was gone. They looked to and fro. John, the beloved that was taking care of Mary at the time, looked to and fro, and she was gone. John went out the next day and he saw the sun rising. And as he saw the sun rising in the clouds and in the heavens, just like this picture, the Queen of Heaven was in the sky. And she said to him, I will be with you always. I will be with you always. That's really, really profound. She's one of the 120 avatars, and she's a beautiful soul. Her and Kuan Yin have been incredible inspiration to spiritual women all over the world. After teaching for a good 4 decades in this life alone, I realized something. It doesn't matter whether you come from the Christian Judean roots or whether you come from Eastern and metaphysical roots, especially if you come from Buddhism or Taoism. Even some of the ancient Hindus think this way. Lord knows I was taught this way growing up in a primitive Baptist, church back in the 60s. And that was darn poor sinner. I remember the first time that Master David and myself launched a membership online. It was 2013, 2014. Can you believe that? Over 10 years ago. And we saw people embrace longevity. We taught people to get their number and change that number. That number is the average of the last 5 incarnations you have, and most people totally oblivious that they will probably pass on within a year of that number that's been predestined in them that averages the last 5 existence they've been here, unless they decide to change it. You have the power to change it. That's what we teach at the Circle of Chi, because Circle of Chi is all about empowerment. But I watch these people embrace spirituality. I watch them embrace health. And they got all excited. And we got a couple of years into the membership. And Mama G was traveling all over the Northwest and the West and the Midwest and everything. But then we talked about them changing their stripes in life. See, that was the big reason that Uncle Enoch and Boganathar met, right? Because Boganathar had the health down. He had the spirituality, that longevity made sense, that God brought us in this world to slow us down and to teach us to love him first. And that the right to life was more important than free will itself. As a matter of fact, you can't have free will without having life. It's so preposterous the way the dark side has manipulated life and abortion and all free talk. It's amazing how much they've done that and how much the children of light have rolled over and let them do that. Not anymore. That's not happening on Lamaji's watch. We're here to tell the truth. But I watched these people, and we started to teach about the 9 pillars of the science of abundance handed down by Enoch that he brought to the Lamasery. Remember, he was the richest man in Babylon before he ascended into heaven. And his pillars have stood the test of time. And they are this. The first 4 are give what you want. That's right. You want love? Give love. You want money? Give money. That's why the tithing and donation is such a big thing spiritually. But to give and donate to something that you truly believe in, something that has positively impacted your life. Number 2, share what you want to become. If you want to become a Lama or a master in Tai Chi one day and think you can get around not being a Tai Chi Gong teacher and healer, it just doesn't work that way. Jesus said we will leave no stone unturned. That means there is a straight and narrow way into heaven that his divine mother here has showed us and that he has showed us. It's a big deal. It's a really, really big deal. You know, she appeared to me very early when I was struggling. What was my way? Was it the East or was it the West? Here I was in Tibet, not reading the scriptures of Tibet, but I was reading the scriptures of the Bible. And Bo Yang says, find the Tai Chi Gong in the Bible, and then you can read whatever you want, little Lama. Did I ever know that it would all come together? I had been shown that when I was out of the body in 1968 in surgery, and it looked like my frail body was not going to make it. I was taken into heaven that day, and I saw the mother, and I saw Jesus, and I met Bo Yang. And they were there to tell me as a child that it was okay to follow this man, or they wouldn't have been there. That was deeply impressed upon me. When I got to the Lamasery is when it was shown to me. The darkness has tried to separate us for eons of time. But the Divine Mother and Jesus and Boganathar and Enoch and Kuan Yin, they are avatars, and they have tried to bring the children of light together. Remember, all religions of the world are different chapters of the same book of one God, right? God didn't start forgiving when Jesus stood up. God started forgiving the moment that he put Adam and Eve on the planet 175,000 years ago. And he passed his pure DNA down to all of us, the children of light. And then Jesus said, there's a second birth to come. The first birth is of your mother, and it's of water. But there will be a second birth that will come. And that birth will be the birth of the holy fire. And that will become from Abba, my Father in heaven. And that's what we teach here at the Circle of Chi. So in honor of the Assumption of Our Lady today that I'm doing this broadcast, but I watch those people. The third pillar is pray as if it's all up to God, but work as if it's all up to us. And that's our motto here at COC. We take this mission of humanity seriously. That's why we're opening wellness centers all around the world. That's why we're going to have a retreat center and a ranch and a Lamasery. That's why teachers are teaching and we're doing our sadhanas every day. Because we feel we're the spearhead of the greatest spiritual revolution since Brother Jesus walked the planet. That's why I came back to set the record straight of my older brother, honor the Divine Mother, She means a lot to Lama Ji. She led me to the church. She wanted me to share Tai Chi Gong with Catholics. She wanted me to teach Christians metaphysics. And that's what I've been doing now for over 40 years. And I'm honored and humbled to do so. But I watch spiritually minded people, whether they came from the New Age, they came from the holistic, and I watched Christians, especially Protestant Christians, and there was a tore asunder inside between their soul. They thought it being anything close to money was not spiritual. That God did not want us to be spiritual. But as they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? So now my background is inside the tomb of King Solomon. Why in the world would God give to King Solomon what he would not give to you and to his heavenly children? Because, see, you have the keys to the kingdom. Lamaji has given you the keys, and those keys are the circle of cheese, the sadhanas, our Tai Chi Gong exercise. Because the fourth pillar is whatever you do to serve humanity, whatever you share, no matter what you're being paid, always increase the abundance of your service, and that will spring forth the abundance. In other words, there's a part in our soul that says we can't do enough. We have to do more. And this energy drives Lamaji. People don't understand the energy that I have at 68. And this is the energy. It drove King Solomon, one of the greatest kings that ever lived. And it'll drive you as your mission unfolds. People say, how long, Lamaji, will you stay here? I will stay here until Abba's mission through me is finished. And it only will be Abba that can take me out. There won't be any force on heaven and earth or heaven and hell that can do that. It'll only be my Father in heaven and my divine mother, because that's who gave me eternal life. And I only yield and I only take the knee to them. But we've created prosperity for life to take the spiritual minded, the children of life, and honor what Jesus promised us. And remember what Jesus said to us? What he said to us as he was ascending into heaven, as his mother does today. He says, I have come to you to bring you a life more abundantly. Not a life of lack, not a life of neediness, but a life like he gave King Solomon. When the Magi showed up to Jesus, Melchior brought him talons of gold. They said probably some of that gold came from this very tomb, right? Isn't that amazing? Today, we're liable to be trading and holding on to gold that one time went through the hands of the Magi, one time that went through the hands of Jesus, one time went through the hands of Joseph, King Solomon himself. You might very well possess gold, because gold is something that lasts. You see, God created the precious metals on the earth, just as him and the Divine Mother created the earth itself. My dad used to tell me when I was a little guy, they only make so much earth, son, so buy real estate because there's only so much. There's only so much gold. There's only so much silver. There's only so much of all the assets. God's currency not only has a political value, it not only has a financial value, but my brothers and sisters of Tai Chi Gong, it has an intrinsic value. It has the blessing of Almighty God. So today, when you tune in, remember why we created the PFL webinars. is so that you could prosper as a spiritual being. We don't worship money. Money serves us as death serves us. So we will make it all our footstool. We will not have any other God before us. But does that not mean we're not supposed to prosper? Because anyone that doesn't realize that right now, they have a lot of work on themselves to do, because poverty is an illness, brothers and sisters, all over this world. Third world is not third world by accident. It's third world by purpose, because of leaders that have taken for themselves and not shared with their people like Solomon did. Solomon was such a great king, as King David after him was. Why? Because he shared the wealth. It's referred to as the Enoch effect. Enoch effect. Share, share, share. Remember, that's the second pillar of the science of abundance. To whom more is given, more is expected. To whom more is given. And that includes you, brothers and sisters. Never forget that. Some of us now know that's the truism, and that's our pathway to heaven. That's what Led Zeppelin wrote the music, The Stairway to Heaven, about. That's who we are. That's why the Ascension Tours are the Stairway to Heaven. And our PFL is going to teach all of us to prosper. Front door, back door, yin and yang. That's the way we do it. Hope to see you today on our broadcast to celebrate our affiliate. I'm so excited about what she's done and what she's accomplished. This girl doesn't let anything stop her. Language doesn't stop her. Moving to a new town doesn't stop her. That our sight is not even in her own language doesn't stop her. You see, to the immortal soul, it knows no boundaries. It's not going to be put into a box, just like we should not put our God into a box. And don't put yourself in a box. Just turn to your siddhanas every day and have reverence to the Almighty, and He will get us all. Remember, He's in control. Not the politicians, not the bankers, not the colleges, not the professors. He's in control. He decides, and only He does. And you're set free, and you're giving all the empowerment of the Almighty as you yield to that understanding. Keep our Heavenly Father as close to you as your heartbeat, and keep our Divine Mother as near to you as your breath, and you will always be just fine. Baraka Bashai, may the blessings be to you and your glorious family. See you later today. God bless you all.